In the year 2147, far from Earth, a small human colony lived quietly on a green planet called Epsilon Haven. The world had soft hills, clear rivers, and fields full of tall grass that moved in the wind. Families from Korea had come here many years ago to build new homes. They wanted peace, good schools for their children, and land to grow food. Life was simple and happy. Captain Kim Ji-hoon led the colony. He was once a Navy officer back on Earth. Now he wore plain clothes and helped solve daily problems. His wife, Park Soo-jin, taught the younger children. She loved reading stories to them under the big trees. Their daughter Ha-eun was 6. She had short black hair, a bright smile, and liked to collect small shiny stones from the river. Every evening she showed them to her parents and told long stories about each one. One clear morning, the sky changed. A huge silver ship appeared high above the colony. It was smooth and silent, much larger than any human ship. Everyone stopped working and looked up. Parents called their children close. Ji-hoon walked to the central square with Soo-jin and Ha-eun. He held his daughter's hand. She pointed at the sky with excitement. The big ship came down slowly. Dust rose when it touched the ground. A wide ramp opened. Tall figures stepped out into the sunlight. They were the Vexari. Their bodies had hard black shells like insects. They walked on 6 thin legs and had many arms that ended in sharp claws. Their eyes glowed red. Behind them came the Lorath. These looked like big cats standing upright, with thick fur and long tails. Both groups wore shining armor and carried weapons that hummed softly. The leader of the visitors was a Vexari called High Warden Crix. His translator box made his words sound flat and hard. "Humans," he said, "this planet now belongs to the Galactic Concord. You are not welcome here. Leave in 10 of your days, or we will make you leave." Ji-hoon stepped forward. He kept his voice steady. "We have lived here for 20 years. We have children, we grow food. We will not go." The aliens looked at one another. Some made strange clicking noises. High Warden Crix moved one claw. "You are primitives. Your ships are slow. Your weapons are weak. You multiply too fast. This world has better uses." Children from the colony gathered closer. They were curious about the tall strangers. Some pointed and whispered. Ha-eun let go of her mother's hand. She ran a few steps ahead, holding a yellow flower she had picked earlier. "Look," she called happily. "For you." Soo-jin reached out. "Ha-eun, no! Come back!" The little girl did not hear. She kept walking toward the aliens, with her flower held high. One Vexari enforcer near the ramp saw the children coming near. His red eyes widened. He raised his weapon arm fast. Blue light built inside the barrel. A second later, plasma burst out in a wide arc. The hot energy hit the group of children like fire from the sun. Screams rose, and then stopped suddenly. Bodies turned to gray ash in moments. The flower Ha-eun held fell slowly to the ground. Her small shoes stayed where she had stood, empty. Ji-hoon ran. He dropped to his knees in the ash. His hands pushed through the dust, searching. Nothing solid remained. Only silence and the smell of burned air. Soo-jin fell beside him. She opened her mouth, but no sound came. Then a deep, broken cry came out. She hit the ground with her fists again and again. The aliens stood still. High Warden Crix spoke into his translator. "A small lesson. Lower species must learn their place." He turned. "We are finished." They walked back up the ramp. The ship rose without another word. It climbed into the sky and disappeared among the clouds. The square became quiet, except for crying. Parents ran to find their sons and daughters. Some found only dark marks on the grass. Others found burned toys or pieces of clothes. In the end, 63 children were gone forever. Ji-hoon stayed on his knees for hours. His face had no color. His eyes stared at nothing. Soo-jin sat next to him, holding the yellow flower that had fallen. She rocked slowly, back and forth. Night came. Stars appeared. The colony lights turned on one by one, but no one felt warm. Ji-hoon finally stood. He walked to the communication building. Inside, he opened the record files. Cameras in the square had caught everything. The aliens landing, the demand, the refusal, the plasma flash, the empty place where children had laughed. He sent the full video to Earth. No message, just the truth. On Earth, in cities like Seoul and Incheon, people woke up to the news. Screens showed the same horrible scene again and again. Fathers sat in silence. Mothers held their sleeping children tighter. In government buildings, leaders watched with hard faces. President Lee Min-sek saw the footage alone in his office. When Ha-eun ran forward with the flower, he closed his eyes for a long moment. Then he opened them. Something changed in his look. Back on Epsilon Haven, morning came gray and cold. Ji-hoon returned to the square. Soo-jin was already there. She sat on the ground with Ha-eun's favorite drawing book. The last page showed a happy family under a smiling sun. Ji-hoon sat beside her. "They took her," he said in a low voice. Soo-jin nodded. Tears fell on the paper. "They said we are primitives. They said we breed too much." Ji-hoon looked up at the empty sky. "They think this ends here. They think we will cry and accept it." He stood slowly. Other people came to the square. Some walked with empty eyes. Others had tight mouths and clenched hands. They showed us their way. Quick, cruel, without care. Now we must show ours. A young man named Choi Hyun-woo stepped up. He worked with machines and computers. "We can build things," he said. "We have tools. We have knowledge." An older woman named Kim Eun-ji added quietly, "We remember pain. We remember how to stand again." Soo-jin closed the drawing book. She stood too. Her voice shook at first, then became steady. "I taught children to be kind. Now I will teach something different." Ji-hoon looked around at the faces. He saw sadness. He saw anger. Most of all, he saw resolve. It was the same strength that had carried humans across oceans, through wars, and out to the stars. He spoke one more time. "They killed our children. They will learn what that means." No one shouted. No one clapped. The people simply turned and walked away. To their homes, to their workshops, to their quiet plans. The fields would wait. The schools would stay empty for now. Something else had begun. Something patient. Something that would not stop. The other side of humanity opened its eyes. The days after the massacre felt heavy, like the air itself carried weight. On Epsilon Haven, people moved slowly at first. They buried what little remained of their children in a quiet field near the river. Small stones marked each spot. No big speeches, just families standing together, heads bowed, holding hands or empty arms. Kim Ji-hoon did not speak much in those first weeks. He walked the colony at night when others slept. He looked at the empty playground, the silent school building, the chairs still pushed back from where children had sat. Each place hurt like a fresh cut. Soo-jin stayed inside their small house most days. She cleaned Ha-eun's room again and again. She folded tiny clothes, arranged toys in perfect rows, then took them apart and started over. Sometimes she sat on the floor and stared at the wall. Messages came from Earth fast. Ships arrived with supplies, doctors, and quiet men in dark uniforms. They brought no flags or loud promises. They brought lists, plans, and questions. President Lee Min-sek spoke to the colony leaders over secure video. His face looked older than before. "We see what they did," he said. "We will answer." No one cheered. No one cried out for war in loud voices. Instead, people nodded. They went back to work. But the work changed. Factories that once made farm tools now built small, fast ships. Engineers who repaired solar panels started drawing designs for weapons no one had seen before. Scientists in quiet labs tested metals that could hide from alien sensors. Korean names filled every report. Choi Hun-woo led the stealth team, Kim Yun-ji worked on power cores, Park Tae-min handled communications that could not be traced. Ji-hoon received a call one morning. A voice from Earth said, "Captain Kim, we need you in Seoul, now." He looked at Soo-jin. She was folding Ha-eun's favorite blanket for the 100th time. "Go," she said without looking up. "Do what must be done." When he arrived on Earth, the city felt strange. Lights still shone bright. People walked in streets. But underneath it all, something had shifted. Shops sold fewer toys. Parks had fewer children laughing. Everyone moved with purpose. In a plain building deep under the city, Ji-hoon met the team. They called it Other Side. No fancy name, just words that meant something clear. There is the side everyone sees, and there is the other one. The leader was an older man named Kwon Sang-ho. He had gray hair and calm eyes. He did not waste time. "We do not fight like them," he said. "They have big fleets, big guns, big pride. We have patience, we have memory, we have anger that does not burn out." Ji-hoon listened. They showed him maps of the Galactic Concord. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships, species that ruled for centuries. The Vexari controlled the military, the Lorath handled trade and spies. Others followed because they feared both. "They think we are weak," Kwon said. "They think one massacre ends it. They do not know humans yet." Ji-hoon spoke for the first time. "They killed my daughter. They killed 63 children who only wanted to give them flowers. I want them to feel that." Kwon nodded. "Then help us make sure they do." Ji-hoon joined the planning group. Days turned to weeks. He trained with others who had lost someone. A woman named Lee Ji-won had lost her son. A man named Han Sung-min had lost 2 daughters. They practiced in dark rooms. They learned to move without sound. They learned to use small blades, silent guns, poisons that worked only on certain alien blood. Soo-jin came to Earth a month later. She did not ask permission. She simply arrived at the lab level. She carried one small bag. Inside were notes she had written in the nights when sleep would not come. Ideas about biology. About things that could hurt without loud explosions. "I was a teacher," she told the scientists. "Now I teach a different lesson." They gave her a white coat and a quiet corner. She worked alone at first. Then others joined. They studied alien bodies from old scans. Vexari shells cracked under certain acids. Lorath lungs failed with the right dust. Soo-jin wrote formulas. She tested small samples on safe simulators. Her face stayed calm, but her hands shook sometimes when she remembered Ha-eun running with the flower. Back in the colony on Epsilon Haven, life tried to return. People planted new crops. Children who survived played again, but quieter. Adults watched the sky more often. Every ship that passed made hearts beat faster. One night, Ji-hoon returned for a short visit. He walked with Soo-jin along the river. They stopped at Ha-eun's stone. Someone had placed fresh flowers there. Ji-hoon knelt and touched the name carved in the rock. "They will pay," he said. Soo-jin looked at him. "Not just pay. Understand. They must know why it hurts." Ji-hoon stood. "They called us primitives. They said we breed too fast. They will learn we do not stop." They walked back in silence. Stars filled the sky. Somewhere out there, alien cities glowed. Families slept. Young ones laughed. Soon that would change. On Earth, President Lee Min-seok made no big speech to the people. He spoke to the leaders of other human nations, then to the factories, then to the scientists. His words were short. Build, train, prepare. When we move once, and we finish it. Factories worked day and night. New ships rose in hidden yards. Small, dark, fast. They carried no flags. Only names painted in white. Hanuel, Bada, Nari. Simple names. Strong names. His body grew leaner. His eyes sharper. He learned to speak alien languages from captured recordings. He practiced the flat tone of the Vexari. He learned their clicks and growls. One day he stood in front of a mirror and said in their tongue, "You killed our children." The words sounded cold, perfect. Sujin finished her first sample, a tiny vial of clear liquid. She held it to the light. "This one," she said to her team, "goes into their water. It waits, then it finds the young, only the young." No one smiled. They just nodded. Months passed. Scouts went out. Quiet ships slipped past Concord borders. They brought back information. Weak points, supply lines, nursery worlds where Vexari and Lorath kept their eggs and young. Jihoon studied the maps every night. He marked places with red pins. Each pin meant a name. Each name meant a child lost. One evening, Quan called everyone together. The room was full, faces tired but steady. "We start soon," Quan said. "Not with big battles, not yet. We start with lessons, small ones, sharp ones." Jihoon looked at Sujin across the room. She met his eyes. For the first time since the massacre, she gave a small, cold smile. The other side of humanity was ready. It did not shout. It did not rush. It waited. And when it moved, nothing would ever be the same again. Months of quiet preparation ended on a single night. 3 small human cargo ships slipped into Concord space. They looked like old traders, slow engines, worn hulls, no weapons showing. They carried food crates marked for border worlds. The aliens scanned them and waved them through. Primitives bringing gifts. How kind. The ships landed on 3 nursery planets, 1 Vexari world, 2 Lorath moons. Each place held thousands of young, eggs in warm domes, larvae in soft pools, cubs in open fields playing under artificial suns. The crews unloaded crates. They smiled at the guards. They spoke simple words through translators. "Help for your little ones. Vitamins. Medicine. From Earth." The guards took the crates inside. They opened them later, when the humans had left. Inside each crate sat small devices. Not bombs, not guns. Tiny tubes that hissed once, then went silent. Clear mist rose and spread through air vents, water lines, food trays. No smell, no color, nothing to notice. The mist waited. 2 weeks later, on Vexari Prime, the first nursery dome went quiet. Guards walked in to check the young. They found rows of cracked shells, empty husks, soft insides dissolved into black liquid. No screams. The young simply stopped moving, one by one, then hundreds, then thousands. Panic spread fast. Alarms rang across the planet. Scientists rushed in. They tested the air, the water, the food. They found traces of something new, something made from human labs, something that only attacked the young. It matched the age of the children lost on Epsilon Haven. On the Lorath moons the same thing happened. Cubs lay still in their dens. Fur fell out in patches. Eyes clouded over. Mothers howled. Fathers roared. But the young did not wake. News raced through the Concord. They saw the same images again and again. Empty cradles, broken shells, silent playgrounds. The message appeared at the end of every broadcast. White letters on black. No voice, just words. "You killed our children." The High Council met in emergency session. High Warden Crix stood before them. His shell looked duller now. His red eyes flickered. "This is terrorism," he said. "Primitives have gone mad." A Lorath counselor snarled. "They used our own trade routes. They poisoned our bloodlines. This is not madness. This is war." Crix waved a claw. "We will crush them. Send fleets. Burn their worlds." But the fleets did not move fast. Ships needed fuel. Fuel came from long supply lines. Lines now watched by small, dark human scouts that appeared and vanished like ghosts. While the Concord argued, humans struck again. Stealth ships, black as space, engines cold, drifted close to key stations. They carried no crews, only machines. drones small as insects. They slipped through vents, found sleeping quarters, found counselors in their beds. One by one, important names died. A Vexari general, poison in his breathing mask, silent, clean. A Lorath trade lord, blade across the throat while he dreamed, no alarm. Each body left with a small mark, burned into skin or shell. The Korean Hanja for child, simple lines, clear meaning. Every death came with the same broadcast, short, clear. You killed our children. The galaxy listened. Alien species who once ignored humans now whispered. They do not fight armies, they hunt families. On Earth, in the hidden command center, Kim Ji-hoon watched the feeds. His face had new lines. His eyes never blinked when the images played. He sat beside Park Soo-jin. Numbers climbed. She did not smile. She did not cry. She just watched. Choi Hyun-woo entered the room. He carried a tablet. Next phase ready, he said. We can hit their command hub. Take out the admirals. Ji-hoon nodded. Do it. The strike happened at dawn on their time. A single human ship appeared near the Concorde's main fleet station. It looked damaged. It sent a distress call. Engine failure. Request aid. The station opened bays. Tractor beams pulled it in. Inside the ship waited 20 humans in black suits. No flags, no names on chests, just numbers. They moved like shadows, silent guns, sharp blades. They cut through guards before alarms sounded. They reached the command deck. Admirals sat at their posts. They died fast. Before leaving, the team left one thing behind. A screen turned on. It showed old footage from Epsilon Haven. Children running, flowers in small hands, plasma fire, ashes. Then new words. Now you know fear. The team left. The station exploded behind them. Not from bombs. From their own reactors, hacked and overloaded. Concorde fleets chased ghosts. They fired at shadows. Human ships appeared for seconds, then vanished. Supply ships vanished. Fuel stations burned. Communications failed. Panic grew. On Vexari Prime, mothers hid their remaining eggs. Fathers stood guard with weapons they had never needed before. Lorath packs gathered in tight circles. They watched the sky. Ji-hoon led his first boarding party, a small team on a fast corvette. They hit a Lorath supply convoy. They boarded the lead ship. Crew fought back. Humans fought harder. Ji-hoon moved down corridors. He saw a young Lorath officer, barely adult. The officer raised a gun. Ji-hoon shot first. The body fell. He looked at the face, young, afraid. For a moment something crossed his eyes. Then it passed. He spoke into his recorder. They learn now. Back on Earth, Soo-jin worked in her lab. She finished a new strain. Nanites. Tiny machines. They could enter bodies, change things, make future young look human. Small faces, dark hair, eyes like Ha-eun's. She held the vial. This one, she said to her team, is permanent. They nodded. President Lee Min-suk met with his advisors. They asked for talks, one said. Lee shook his head. Not yet. Ji-hoon received the message from Kwon Sang-ho. Concorde wants peace. They offer terms. Ji-hoon stood on the bridge of his ship. Stars moved past the window. He thought of Ha-eun's laugh. The flower. The empty shoes. He answered. Tell them peace comes after understanding. They have not understood yet. The war did not roar. It whispered. It crept. It waited in shadows. And every day more aliens learned the other side of humanity. The side that buried its dead, then rose to bury them. The Galactic Concorde once ruled with iron claws and proud voices. Now it cracked. Worlds that used to shine with trade lights grew dim. Ships that once flew in perfect formation now limped alone. Species that followed the Vexari and Lorath out of fear began to turn away. Some quietly closed borders. Others sent secret messages to Earth. We did not want this. We only watched. Humanity did not care about apologies. Words meant nothing anymore. Kim Ji-hoon became a name whispered in alien tongues. They called him the Ghost Father. He led small teams that appeared from nowhere and left nothing behind but silence and stories. His ship, the Hanoi Boksik, moved like a shadow between stars. Its hull carried no bright colors, only one mark, the simple Korean character for child, carved deep and painted white. He boarded ships. He walked dark corridors. He found officers hiding in rooms. He did not always kill. Sometimes he left them alive, broken, shaking, with one message carved into metal walls or burned into fur. Remember. Survivors spread the tales. They come at night. They speak our languages. They know our fears. They do not shout. They just do. Park Soo-jin's work spread wider. The nanites she made did not kill. They changed. On worlds where the first virus had spared some young, the nanites entered quietly. They rewrote small parts of growing bodies. When new larvae hatched, when new cubs opened their eyes, they carried human features. Dark hair instead of fur, round eyes instead of slits, small noses, faces that looked like Ha'uns. Alien mothers screamed when they first saw their children. Fathers stared in horror. Priests called it a curse. Scientists called it impossible. But it happened again and again. The reminders stayed forever. Every new generation carried humanity's face. Soo-jin watched the reports from her lab on Earth. She saw the images. She did not smile. She simply noted the numbers and prepared the next batch. Choi Hyun-woo led the hackers. His teams broke into alien networks. They changed orders, sent false alarms, made fleets chase empty space. They turned Concorde weapons against Concorde ships by accident. One day a Vexari battle group fired on its own supply line. The explosion lit up 3 systems. President Lee Min-suk still sat in his quiet office. He read reports every morning. He signed orders without pause. No speeches to the people, no victory parades, just steady work. The Concorde tried to fight back. They sent huge fleets to human colonies. But the colonies had changed. Hidden defenses rose from the ground. Small drones swarmed like angry bees. Shields flickered on and off. Fleets arrived to find empty orbits. Humans had moved, always one step ahead. One large battle happened near a red nebula. The Concorde sent 50 capital ships. Humans sent 8. The battle lasted less than an hour. Human ships danced between the big ones. They cut engines. They planted charges. They left before the explosion started. When the nebula cleared, 30 Concorde ships drifted dead. The rest ran. After that, fewer fleets came. Ji-hoon led a raid on a Lorath breeding moon. His team landed in silence. They moved through tunnels. They found the main chamber. Thousands of eggs waited under warm lights. Guards stood ready. The fight was short. Humans used gas first. Guards fell asleep standing. Then the team placed small devices, not to destroy, to record. Cameras watched every egg, every movement. Later the footage went out across the galaxy. No words, just the images. Then one line at the end. "This is what you took from us." Mothers across alien worlds saw it. They held their young tighter. They looked at the sky with new fear. Ji-hoon stood on the bridge after the raid. Stars moved past slowly. He touched the small photo he kept in his pocket. Ha-eun smiling, flower in hand. He closed his eyes for a moment. A crew member named Yoon Ji-ho approached. "Sir, they are breaking. We intercepted messages. They want to talk." Ji-hoon opened his eyes. "Let them talk to the dead." The Concorde sent envoys, small ships with white flags. They came to a neutral station. Humans met them. No smiles, no handshakes. The Vexari speaker said, "We offer peace. Borders respected. Trade restored. No more attacks." The human representative, a calm woman named Shin Hae-rin, answered, "Peace? You offered us ashes. We offer understanding." She played a recording, children laughing on Epsilon Haven. Then silence. Ashes, empty shoes. The aliens looked away. Shin continued. You will leave our space. You will pay for every child lost, not with money, with memory. Your young will learn our history. Your schools will teach what happened. Every generation will know. The Vexari clicked in anger. You demand too much. Shin leaned forward. You demanded everything from us. Now you get the rest. The talks ended without agreement. The envoys left. More raids followed. Ji-hoon took his team to Vexari Prime itself. They slipped past defenses, landed in a quiet zone. They walked into a city at night. Tall towers, glowing streets. They found a central archive, a place where history lived. They did not burn it. They added to it. They placed new files, videos, names, faces, stories of 63 children. Ha-eun's drawing, her favorite song. Everything. Then they left. The next day the archive broadcast it all. Across the planet. Across the Concord. No one could stop it. Panic turned to despair. Worlds surrendered one by one. Fleets stood down. Leaders stepped aside. Ji-hoon watched from orbit. Soo-jin joined him on the Hanui Boksik. They stood together on the bridge. The planet below looked small, quiet. Soo-jin spoke softly. It is almost over. Ji-hoon nodded. Almost. They did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They just waited. The other side of humanity had shown itself. Not in fire, not in screams. In cold, endless steps. Each step a memory. Each memory a wound. And wounds like that do not heal easily. The galaxy learned. They would never forget again. The end came not with a great explosion, but with silence. A deep, heavy silence that spread across the stars like fog over water. Above Vexari Prime, the once mighty homeworld, the sky filled with human ships. Not thousands, not even hundreds, just 12 dark vessels, small and sharp, hanging in perfect formation. The Hanui Boksik led them. Its hull gleamed black under the pale blue light of the planet below. No banners, no flashing lights, only the white hanja for child painted on each side. The remaining Concord fleet waited, once proud, now broken. Hulls patched, weapons cold, crews tired. They had lost too many battles, too many young, too much hope. A single transmission came from the Concord flagship. A Vexari voice, flat and weak. Humans, we surrender. We offer unconditional terms. Take what you want. Just stop. Kim Ji-hoon stood on the bridge. He wore no uniform, just a plain black jacket. Park Soo-jin stood beside him. Her face looked thinner now, eyes harder, but steady. They looked at the main screen. The planet spun slowly beneath them. Cities still glowed. Lights still moved in streets. Life still went on, but not the same life. Ji-hoon pressed the comm button. His voice carried clear and calm across every channel the Concord could hear. Across every world still listening, across the galaxy. You saw our kindness once. You saw our curiosity. You saw our children run to you with flowers and smiles. You burned them. You called it a lesson. You called us primitives. He paused. The silence stretched. Now look at your own children. Look at your empty cradles. Look at the faces your new young carry, faces like ours. Every time a mother looks at her child, she will see what you did. Every time a father teaches his son, he will remember the ashes on Epsilon Haven. You wanted us to learn our place. We taught you yours. Soo-jin stepped closer to the console. She spoke next. Her voice did not shake. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your ships. We do not want your gold or your stars. We want understanding, real understanding, the kind that lasts longer than empires. She looked at Ji-hoon. He nodded once. The human ships did not fire. They waited. One by one, Concord vessels lowered their weapons. Bays opened. Crews stepped out in small groups, unarmed. They floated in spacesuits toward human boarding craft. No fight left in them. On the surface of Vexari Prime, crowds gathered in city squares. They watched giant screens. They saw the human ships. They saw the surrender. Some cried. Some stood still. Parents held their changed young close. The small human-like faces looked up with innocent eyes. Ji-hoon gave the order. Land the teams. Small shuttles dropped. They carried no armies, just people in plain clothes. They walked into cities without guns raised. They went to schools, to archives, to nurseries. They did not destroy. They taught. In every classroom, new lessons began. Teachers, alien and human together, showed the same footage again and again. The landing on Epsilon Haven, the flower, the plasma, the ashes, the names. 63 names read slowly, clearly. Ha-eun's name last. Children listened. Some young Vexari clicked softly in confusion. Some Lorath cubs hid their faces. But they listened. In the central archive, humans added more files, not just videos, drawings from colony children, songs sung in Korean, letters parents wrote after the loss, stories of what was taken, stories of what came back. The message stayed simple. This happened. Never forget. Weeks turned to months. The galaxy changed shape. Old orders dissolved. Concord councils disbanded. Leaders stepped down. Some faced trials on their own worlds. Others simply disappeared into quiet exile. Human ships patrolled the new lines, not to conquer, to watch, to make sure the lessons stayed learned. On Epsilon Haven, life returned slowly. New families came. New children played in the fields. The memorial grew larger. Stones stretched in long rows. Names carved deep. Flowers placed every day. One quiet afternoon, Ji-hoon and Soo-jin walked back to the river. They carried a small bundle of white flowers. They stopped at Ha-eun's stone. The carving looked smooth now, worn by wind and rain and careful hands. Ji-hoon knelt. He placed the flowers down. Soo-jin knelt beside him. She touched the name with gentle fingers. She would be taller now, Soo-jin said softly. Ji-hoon nodded. She would be running everywhere, collecting stones, telling stories. They sat there for a long time. The river moved past. Birds called in the trees. Somewhere, children laughed in the distance. Ji-hoon spoke. We finished it. Soo-jin looked up at the sky. We showed them. They stood together. They walked back toward the colony. The sun felt warm again, not hot with anger, just warm. Far above, the Hanoi Boksik waited in orbit. Its crew watched the planet turn. They knew the work never truly ended. Lessons had to be repeated. But for now, the other side rested. It had shown itself fully. The galaxy remembered. It would remember for a very long time. Years later, on a new generation school on a distant world, a small Vexari child, with dark hair and round eyes, raised a hand. Teacher, the child asked, why do we learn this story every year? The teacher, human, with kind eyes, answered simply, because long ago, some people forgot what it means to be careful with children. Others remembered, and they made sure no one would forget again. The child nodded slowly, so we don't make the same mistake. The teacher smiled a small, sad smile, so no one ever has to. Outside the window, stars shone bright. Somewhere among them, old wounds closed. New stories began. But the titles stayed. You killed our children, Galactic. Now you will know the other side of humanity.